Hello and welcome to another episode of Ken Training. Today's training, what we're going to do is we're going to install two slab doors into a double door opening. And this particular project, I've got two openings. One opening has existing doors that I want to relocate to the second opening. Let me show you the job right now. And let me start off by saying that I'm not a door expert. I'm a DIY person doing door work at my own primary residence. And I've already done some door work already, and you can check out my channel for more videos on doors and working with doors and all stuff like that. And but basically I'm not doing pre-hung doors. I'm doing just slab doors because it's an existing home and I don't want to change out the trim. If I changed out the trim, then I'd have to do all the trim in the entire house in order for the whole thing to match, and I don't want to go there. So I'm not going in that direction. That's why I'm sticking with just the trim. Slab doors. No, and not changing out the trim. Okay, so this right here, let me show you. All right, here's the opening to my office. This particular opening is 48 inches by 80 inches. The doors that we're going to put in this location are downstairs right now going to the master. I want these doors, which are just sitting right here on the floor. There's a couple of them here, which one is a 26 inch and this one is a 24 inch. Those are solid core doors. Those are brand new. Bought those for $113 at the Home Depot. I want those to go downstairs on the master. I want the doors on the master to come up here. The master is 48 inches. The doors on the master currently are 24 inch. All right, here are the doors to the master on the first level. These doors I installed, let's just say 4 years ago. This is a 48 inch opening. Each door is 24 inches, so it's symmetrical. I thought that I wanted to go in this direction because it was going to look nicer, because that way they look even when the doors are shut. The problem is that when you're over here, let me try to show you this, so that when you're over here and you got your laundry and you're trying to come through the opening, because the stationery has to have I'm not sure what you call this particular plate that goes over the doors, because it has to have one of those, and the hinge, your opening here, well, hell, I'll tell you what the opening is. The opening is 22 inches. So I'm going to increase that by at least 2 inches and bring that at least to 24 inches. So it's going to make a large difference. And this is why I want to change these out. That's why I ordered two different doors, 26 and 22. That way I can equals 48. That way, so these two doors and hopefully these two doors will just be like an exact fit and just fit right in. That would be wonderful. These are completely finished doors ready to go. So my first step is going to be to remove the stationary door, bring that upstairs, make sure it fits okay, then take the operating door and then bring that and see how that works. So here we go. Alright, so here's the door just leaning up against the frame. I should mention that I've already sanded and painted the frame, so the frame is finished condition right now. Now, because I'm just in a hallway here, it's hard for me to show you everything. I can't show you the whole door, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to focus on the bottom for right now. Now, what I'm going to do is I got a bunch of shims here in my tool bag, and I got the screws and everything ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the door, the stationary door, and bring it up to the hinges, and I'm going to see how low I am. Now this particular door is, I don't know, about 1/4 of an inch below. So I'll take 3 shims, I'll tilt the door up here, put 3 shims here, try to bring that in and see what that kind of looks like. Now I'm way too high. Alright, let me take out a couple of shims. Let's try 1 shim. Alright, 1 shim kind of takes it into range. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1 screw. Even that seems high. Hang on. Yeah, that's too high still. Let me bring this shim down. Alright, that's pretty close. I just want to get that 1 screw started. I don't want to send it home. Alright, now I'm going to do the same thing up top. Alright, so I have 1 screw just started there on the top. 1 screw started on the bottom. Now, let me just focus on the top here. So now I'm just going to kind of set the door up and see if I can get all 3 screws installed and see how this door operates. See how well we do here. Looks like it still needs to come up a little bit. Hold on. So I'm taking a shim underneath there and I'm just kind of picking the door up with the shim. And I'm putting another screw down the bottom to try to get try to get it. Oh, that one stripped out. I'm way too high on the torque. Torque setting is 5. Alright, let's see if this comes into play. Alright, that's not bad. It's a little shy. It's a little kick out here on the bottom. It's not exactly flush. It needs to be tapped in. So what I'm going to do is loosen these, and I'm going to get a hammer and a block of wood. Let me get that right now. Okay, so when I want to tap a hinge in because it's close, I just use a block of wood and a hammer. And I'll show you what I mean on a close-up right now. Alright, here's a close-up on this hinge, and I want this flat. It's not flat, so I'm just going to take this and I'm going to try to tap the bottom to get that to go in flush, to seat that. Then I'm going to take the screws and then try to see if it'll seat with the screws. Try that right now. Alright, that's a little bit better. It was just kicking out a little bit. Alright, so now I've got 4 screws in. Hang on. Alright, now I've got 4 screws in 2 hinges. And I'm going to pull out my shim. The door is definitely dragging here. See if I can actually get the door to close. Okay, one thing I'm noticing, this particular door frame, for whatever reason, it's just got like a much larger gap than the one downstairs. I know I didn't have that kind of a gap downstairs. What else? The door is definitely sitting lower here. It's dragging on the floor when you open it about halfway. Now, here's the other issue. The other issue is that when you try to close it, the door, okay, see how much distance I got there? The door will not close any more than that. If I try to close it more than that, the hinges are going to start to pull away from the door. So I've got a fix for that, and I'll show you how I fix that. And if I want to live with this height of the door, then I need to trim the bottom of the door. Personally, I'd like to bring the door up about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch or so, so that instead of this 1/4 inch gap, it'd be a 1/8 inch gap. So, but before I do that, this is an easy fix. Let me show you that. Basically, I'm just going to use nylon zip ties and this here to cut the nylon zip ties. I'm going to I've got the door open. I'm going to loosen up a couple of these screws, bring the hinge out towards me. Then I'm going to put behind it one of these zip ties. So this way the hinge is kind of angled this way slightly, and then tighten the screws up and then see if the door will close. I'll do that on both hinges right now. Okay, I gave you a close-up on that one. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom. Okay, that technique worked. You can see how much the door, just sitting at rest, how much it's closed. It's like right there. It doesn't, it's, I don't know, kicking out, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch. So there's a little bit of stress still on the upper hinge, and I can tell that when I try to close the door here, and if I watch and observe the hinge, it tries to pull it ever so slightly. So I could kick this out this way a little bit more. So I still want to work on that hinge. The bottom hinge, not so much. When I go to operate the door and I close it shut, and I watch the bottom hinge, it's not doing what the top hinge is doing. The top hinge, this is pulling out this way. See that? It's subtle. It's very subtle, but anyways, now at least I got the door closed. I can at least look at it. That gap that I was concerned about, this gap right here, when the door is in a closed position, is fine. You don't see any reveal here on this side, so I can live with this. The only thing I can't live with is the bottom of the door, because I open the door. Right there, it's hitting the floor. So obviously that has to be cut. The bottom of the door has to be cut. And then it's got this trim piece here, which when the double doors are closed, then of course I have to put the latch set in here. But what I'm going to do is I want to see how the other door looks before I do anything. So I'm just going to take this, open that up, and leave it in the open position. Go grab the other door. I'm going to install it right here, and I'm going to go see what it looks like. Okay, here's the two doors installed in the office. Now I just put up this door here, the operating door, and it's actually operating pretty good. It's got a pretty good reveal up at the top. The hinges are not binding at all. Everything is actually pretty good. So then I take the stationary door, put that in, just kind of hold that closed. Then take the operating door and see if it'll close. And it will not close. It's hitting and it needs to come back. So then what I'll do is I just prop open both doors like this and then shut them simultaneously. And I just want to get an idea of what it looks like. So what I'm looking at is I'm looking at a couple of things. I'm looking at the height of this door compared to the height of that door. I'm looking at the gap that's between here and here, which is about 1/8 of an inch, and then I'm following that gap down. And as I get down, 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 you can see that down the bottom it's real tight. So I know that the doors are coming together at the bottom. These hinges here, actually, okay. That's got a little bit of a gap. That's at least 1/8 of an inch there. And as I come down towards the bottom, that's already narrow at the bottom. On the left-hand side, this is where I've got all my action, okay? You can see I'm starting out at about 1/8 of an inch, and as I come down, it grows to it. Oh, I don't know. That might be 1/4 of an inch. Not sure exactly. Okay, so I know that what I really want to do is I need to suck up the gapping this way, and I'd like to do it here on these two hinges, and preferably here on this bottom hinge. So I'm going to open the door. Now, An easy way for me to do this would be for me to take this door off of the hinges, come over to my workbench, which I got right here, and then I could use this tool right here, which is my mortise tool, in order to cut out for the hinges on the door. I could simply do that, take my router, and go to a deeper gauge. And if I was to do it that way, this whole door would suck in that way, because what I would be doing is I would be recessing this hinge into the door itself, causing the door to pull this way in. But right now it's actually perfect. So I'm not sure if I'm probably going to have to do that, because just looking at this hinge here, this is already flat here. Because my other option is to take it off of here and to dig away and cut out some of this so that this goes back. Those are my two options that I have. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to take out, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to open up the hinges, and I'm going to try to remove and chisel out a little bit of material on those on the frame casing here, and just try to get this hinge to sit back a little bit deeper into there. So I'm going to try to do that right now. Alright, here's your top hinge with a rough fit. Kind of see how much I got going on there. And I chipped it out by accident a little bit, so I got a little boo-boo there. And then here's the rough fit on the bottom. I might have to, actually I think I might take a little bit more off that bottom. Alright, I got the doors to close, but they're still rubbing. Let me show you. So if I take it, see right there, it's still hitting, but a little bit of effort I can get it to close. But well, basically what I need to do is this top hinge needs to go that way, so I am going to work on that right now. Bottom hinge is okay, it's not bad, but basically I'm going to take that top hinge there and bring that over. Alright, it turns out on this hinge here, what happened was it was a little bit too close that way. So when the door was closing, it was rubbing right there, which was causing this hinge to kick out like that. That was the root cause of the problem. So what I did is I took some shims there, those little shims right there, and I put them inside of this hole here, just doing a dry fit here, and you can see how I kicked this hinge over that way, so it's no longer rubbing right there to take that out. So the door is, it doesn't quite shut 100%, but that's not bad, having a small amount of tension on it, but it's no longer binding up there, I can tell you that much. So it's definitely not binding there. It might be binding a little bit right there, down there at the bottom, but I can really notice it when I'm up here and I shut it. You can see that a little bit of paint pull away right there, and that's really where I notice it. Plus I can feel it on the tension, but it's not terrible, and it'll probably be okay, so this way this won't rattle once I put this latch into place and do that. So operating the door now, it hits right there just at that latch plate, but nowhere else. And the reveal, the gapping is really good all the way down. So all I need to do now is just pull out this latch plate, chisel this out so that this latch plate sits a little bit back here, and this should shut freely. So I'll work on that right now. Alright, so here's the door, and everything's latching fine, so I'm fine with the way this is right now because the door operates like a door should. The reveal looks good, hinges are fine, so I'm fine on the hinges there. Now I want to progress forward with the project. So this plate here has to have this inserted, so I just put some orange tape up at the top jamb, and then holding the door up against there, I held this up there and then just took a pencil and then pencil marked that out. So this way I can know exactly where the screws need to go for that. So I'm going to get going on that. In addition to that, this door here operates fine, but I still might need to trim it. This door absolutely needs to be trimmed because it's hitting right there, it's hitting the floor. So first of all, you need to determine how much spacing you want underneath the door. So here I've got a couple of templates. This one's 3/8, and that's how thick 3/8 is. This one is 1/2 inch. So, and there's the two differences between 1/2 inch and 3/8. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do it so it's a 3/8 inch. 1/2 inch would be better for airflow when you've got the air conditioning on a forced hot air system, and when the doors are closed, the only airflow for the return, because there's the return grill in the hallway, is underneath the doors and around the door frames. So the larger that gap is, the more airflow you can push through for heating and cooling when your forced system is on. But a 1/2 inch gap, which is what this is, I mean, that's a pretty good sized gap underneath the door, and all your sounds and everything travel through there. So I'm just going to make it 1/8 of an inch smaller and do 3/8 of an inch. So the way I do that is I've got my template, and all I need to do is just close the door, put the template down up against the floor like this, and then take my pencil here and then just score a line right there. I'm holding the camera right now, so I don't want to do it because I want to hold this down while it's against the jamb and then do the pencil thing. So let me do that. Alright, there's my cut mark right there. Now for the other door, actually it has a 3/8 of an inch already on this side, and on the other side the floor kind of comes up on it. I don't know if I'm going to cut this one or not. I might just leave this one alone. For now I'll cut this one and I'll see how everything looks after that. Alright, so this is how I'm going to do this. So I know that I want this to go approximately here in order for it to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a pre-drill in this one hole here. Okay. Let's see how this one looks. So I'll do this one, and then I'll see how it looks, and then I'll do the second one if it works good. Oh, that's real good. That's perfect. That's exactly the way it should be. Alright, so here's my setup. I got a couple of clamps, a straight edge. You can see the line that I got drawn out there, and this little spacing block right here tells me exactly how much my circular saw is going to cut, so it's going to cut it off right there on the line. And so I've got that all established, so I know that once I start cutting, that's going to go right there. I'm just going to take some tape and just put it over the cut edge here. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because I just want the as little splintering as possible, because this is already finished and I don't want to repaint it. So I'm just going to put some tape down top and bottom, covering up the door exactly where the cut's going to go. It's already got my straight edge in place, so I don't have to worry about that. And hopefully it's not going to be too bad once I do it. So I'm going to cut it right now. Okay, here's your door. Door is in. It is definitely binding on the shut, okay? And I'm convinced it's binding right there at the bottom. So I need to take this back hinge and pull that back a little bit. In addition to that, the door is also hitting here now at the bottom. It still shuts, but you can see I got good gapping here at the top, and then it narrows and narrows and narrows, and then it's really just about touching there at the bottom. So I'm not really happy about that. Let me just hold that for a second. Yeah, you can see how it hits right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this hinge here, trying to suck that in that way. Plus I'm going to bring it this way to get that to work a little better. Alright, here's your final doors. Everything's trimmed out. So this door here opens 100%, closes, latches there, and show your gap spacing. It's not bad. There's a little bit of a bump there at the bottom, but from this side you notice it, but it's not bad. Gap there in the bottom is a little large compared to the top, but it's fine. You know, the important part is that the door is operating correctly. Let me show you the other side. Okay, so from this side, if I open this up, this is what it looks like full open. Latch that there at the top. And there it is at the bottom. Gapping at the bottom looks good. Operates fine. Let me show you the gapping all around. So you can see at the bottom here, it looks pretty uniform all the way through. The floor is, I think it's a little bit out. Anyways, that's it. Okay, that will conclude this video on just taking out 2 slab doors and relocating them to another door casing. Watch my next video, which will be much more in depth on taking the 2 slab doors that are right here. Hold on. These doors that are here, just sitting here raw, with no holes, no mortises or anything for the hinges or the lock set, and then doing that. Okay, so go ahead and watch that video in order to see me install those 2 raw doors onto the casing that I just removed these 2 doors from, which is to the master. The 2 doors that I'm going to be installing are solid core. The 2 doors that I moved up to the 2nd level are hollow core. So the solid core doors are a lot heavier, better for sound and so forth. Okay, so that concludes this video for now. Go ahead and click like if you like the video. Subscribe to my channel. See you on the next video.